Hi, and welcome to your Inside Power. My name is Patricia Stepler, and I am your host for this show. You know, when we talk about our inside power, we're talking about the, the, the gifts that we have inside of us that keep us in tune with what's going on. So let's expand this a little bit and let's see what we can learn about the inside power. You know, our question today is why is it that some people just seem to float through life while others, it just seems to be a constant struggle? And it doesn't need to be a struggle. That's the point. We should all be able to float through life. The problem is that we don't quite understand what it is that we're doing. So whenever we think of this, this quote comes to mind: whatever a man soweth, that he shall reap. So we are in charge of giving out those ideas, and we are in charge of what's happening in our lives. Nobody else is. It's us. And when we have this sense that your own identity either continues building the image of that struggle, or it continues to build the image of just floating and going through things, that's where the confidence comes in. People that tend to have things good happen to them, that seem to be like those people that just kind of float through life and everything good just keeps happening to them, they have a sense of confidence. It doesn't mean everything goes their way, because it doesn't. What happens, though, is they have this inner feeling or gift that even when things don't go their way, it will work out. And when you can develop that within yourself, that even though roadblocks get in your way or something's not turning out the way you want it to, that there must be a reason, then you can start to develop that confidence and start floating through life too. But what we have to do is to develop the image of the person we want to be. Do we want to be that person that struggles? Do we want to be that person that finds everything difficult and hard and money's difficult to earn? Or do you want to be that person who feels like everything's easy and that they can do whatever task is put in front of them? I remember a number of years ago, there was a health issue in my family, and it was quite stressful. And a friend of mine gave me this pillow. In fact, I'm looking at it right now. It says, "I know that God won't give me any more than I can handle." And then it says, "I just wish he didn't trust me so much." And that's the way you have to look at it. Whatever we're given, we have the capability of handling. And if we go through life believing that, it makes it a whole lot easier. And then you start to realize, you know, hey, I've done something like this before. I can do it again because I handled it well the last time. So it all comes down to the image we hold of ourselves, to the confidence we have in ourselves. And the more confidence you have in yourself, the more you can step out and take risk and do things. So money comes to us in the exact ratio and proportion for the need for what we do and for how well we do it. That's just the law of compensation. We've been talking about those laws. I've mentioned that one before. So what you can control is how well you do something. And that is all within your control. So when you set out to gain greater wealth, sometimes we have to go the extra mile. Sometimes we have to step out there and do a little more. And when we do, we will get compensated. Now, it might not be from that particular job or that particular person, client, or whatever that you're working with, that you will gain that monetary equivalent, but it will come. And it might not come today. It might not come for a year, but it will come to you. And that's what you have to keep believing. So when we create the image in our mind, which we've talked about before, we become difficult to replace. So we become that person that is so valued and so necessary, we become difficult to replace. And the key to our dreams is the belief that you can have it. It's a sense that the possibility is not hard, that it can be done. And so we have to have that in our wheelhouse of knowledge. So develop the image, and the world will respond to what you're resonating as your desires. So you have to decide what it is you want, and I guarantee you're going to get it, as long as you keep believing and you put some action behind it, because your mind is connected with all other minds, and you will figure out a way to make that happen. You know, it's funny, I was working with a client, and I was asking this client, because she does healing, energetic healing. And I said, when you do those healings, are you with that person, like on Zoom, like you and I are together here, or are you just thinking of them? And she said, no, we do it energetically. And so that person can be sleeping and I have their name and I connect with them energetically. You see, if people can connect energetically like that for healings, certainly the universe can connect you with what you need. And I guarantee you it does. You just have to have the belief, and you have to allow your mind to accept that idea. So there's always a cause and effect, and we get back what we put out. And sometimes that's hard for us to understand, that we get back what we put out, but we have to put that idea out there. We have to put the action out there, and cause and effect, just like you learned in the science class. For every cause, there is an effect. Same way with your desire. For every desire that you put out there, you know, you will cause and have that effect to get it back. So sometimes it's hard to connect with that idea that we do not need to suffer, we do not need to struggle, because that's what we've been brought up with, a lot of us. And so we have to get rid of that idea and get rid of that possibility. And when you do that, you're going to receive what it is that you want. It all starts with your thinking. It all starts with what's in your mind. So one of the things one of my mentors said is, you were born rich. All of us were born rich. Now, it doesn't mean wealth as far as money, but we were born rich with the capacity to acquire what it is that we want. And so we all have that ability within inside of, because we're all the same in that respect. What makes us different is how we use those ideas and use our mind in order to help us to acquire what it is that we want. So you do more, you will get paid more when you get the extra mile. And this is what so many people miss. It's like, if you're building a fire, you don't say, I'll put wood on a fire when it starts giving me a flame. No, you build the flame first and then you add the wood. And that's what you have to keep in mind when you're working towards earning more money or getting better health or building better relationships, is you first have to do something. You can't just wait for it to happen. And sometimes that's what people think, that as long as they think it in their mind, that it's going to happen. No, you have to put some action behind it. You have to do something. And so thinking's not enough. The thinking's the starting point, but then when you get an idea, you have to work on that. And you see, even as you think, like when we're talking about relationships, when you're thinking about the kind of relationship you want, or the ideal partner that you want, or something like that, when you start to think about that, you start to change yourself, because you can't change anybody else. You can only change yourself. And as you're thinking, you start to change yourself. And then when that